Welcome to Dark Rule Stories, where every rule exists for a reason. That's when I understood the true purpose of the rule. The rule wasn't there to stop people from hearing the voices. The rule existed because the voices could become anyone, but they needed you to answer. They needed you to believe. The trees around me suddenly shook violently. A loud crack echoed through the forest. Something massive dropped from the branches above and landed on the trail behind me. The ground trembled beneath my feet. I didn't look back. I didn't want to know what had finally stepped out of the darkness. Then, through the chaos, I saw a faint yellow light ahead. My cabin, only a few hundred feet away. Relief washed over me. I pushed myself faster. But the moment I reached the front door, I heard a voice behind me that made me stop instantly. A tiny, terrified voice. The voice of a child. Please. I slowly turned my head. Dad, my heart stopped. I never had a child. My hand remained frozen on the cabin door. The old wooden handle pressed against my palm, but I couldn't make myself turn it. Behind me, the child's voice trembled. Dad, please don't leave me out here. A cold wave traveled through my entire body. For a brief second, a thought entered my mind that terrified me more than anything I had seen in the forest. What if it was real? What if there was a child lost in the woods? What kind of person would walk away from a frightened child calling for help? The thing behind me knew exactly what it was doing. It wasn't trying to scare me anymore. It was testing me, searching for the one thing that could make me break the rule. My hand tightened around the door handle. I closed my eyes, and I remembered the old man's face, not his warning, his expression, the sadness in his eyes, the look of someone who had watched other people make the same mistake. I whispered to myself, it's not real. The child started crying, not fake crying, not dramatic screaming. Small helpless sobs that sounded like a child sitting alone in the dark. Dad, I'm cold. My eyes filled with tears. Every part of me wanted to turn around. Then the child said something that made my blood freeze. Why did you leave me like you left Mom? The crying stopped. Complete silence followed, because there was only one problem. I had never been married. There was no mother. There was no child. And yet, whatever was behind me had created an entire tragedy designed specifically for me. A life I never had, a guilt I never carried. Something that would have destroyed me if I had believed it for even one more second. Slowly the child began laughing. The laugh started quietly, a soft little giggle. Then it grew louder, deeper. The voice aged by decades within seconds. Laughter became the sound of an old man, then a woman, then dozens of different people laughing at once. The noise filled the entire forest. The walls of my cabin vibrated. The windows shook. Something scratched across the front porch behind me. Long dot, slow dot, like sharp nails dragging across old wood. Scrap, scrap. It moved closer. I could hear its breathing now. Not the breathing of an animal, not the breathing of a person. It sounded like the wind passing through an empty cave. I knew one thing. If I looked back, I was dead. With trembling fingers, I unlocked the cabin and threw myself inside. The door slammed shut behind me. Immediately, everything went silent. No laughter. No footsteps. No scratching. Nothing. I stood in the darkness of my cabin, breathing heavily, waiting for something to crash through the walls. But minutes passed. Then an hour. Nothing came. The rule had protected me. Or maybe the thing outside simply couldn't enter. I didn't sleep that night. I sat beside the window with every light in the cabin turned off, watching the forest. Around 3 a.m, I saw movement near the trees. A person, standing perfectly still at the edge of my property. It was too far away to see their face, but I could tell they were looking directly at my cabin, watching me, waiting. Then another figure appeared beside it, and another, and another. By sunrise, there were at least 20 people standing among the trees. None of them moved. None of them made a sound. When the first rays of sunlight touched the forest, every single figure walked back into the trees and disappeared. That morning, I went straight to the old man's house. This time, when I knocked on his door, he didn't look surprised to see me. He only looked tired, like he had been expecting me. "You heard them," he said. It wasn't a question. I nodded. His eyes dropped to the ground. "Then you're lucky." "Lucky?" I asked. "Something was outside my cabin all night. What the hell is living in those woods?" The old man stayed silent for a long time. When he finally looked at me, there was fear in his eyes, the kind of fear that comes from a person who knows a truth they wish they could forget. And then he said 5 words that made me wish I had never moved to this town. They weren't trying to get in. He stepped closer. "They were waiting for you to come back." The old man's words stayed in my head long after he said them. They were waiting for you to come back. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe. And if you carry a story you want told, email me at darkrulestories@gmail.com.